Imagine a man so vile, so utterly devoid of humanity, that his crimes shocked the nation not once but twice. Kenneth McDuff was convicted in 1968 for the brutal murder of 3 teenagers, earning him the nickname the Broomstick Killer. Sentenced to death, it seemed justice had been served, until a legal loophole set him free in 1989. What followed was a trail of blood and terror that would forever stain the justice system. This is the story of Kenneth McDuff, the killer who walked free on August 6, 1966. 3 teenagers, Robert Brand, 17, his girlfriend Edna Sullivan, 16, and their friend Mark Dunman, 15, were out enjoying a warm Texas evening. Little did they know, Kenneth McDuff and his accomplice Roy Green were stalking them. Armed with a .38 revolver, McDuff forced the teens into his car. What happened next is almost too horrifying to recount. McDuff shot the 2 boys in cold blood and turned his attention to Edna. Her final moments were spent in unimaginable terror as McDuff used a broomstick to end her life, a detail that would later give him his infamous nickname. McDuff was quickly arrested, and in 1968 he was sentenced to death. Justice seemed swift, and the families of the victims hoped they could begin to heal. But the story was far from over. In 1972, a Supreme Court ruling temporarily abolished the death penalty, commuting many death row sentences to life imprisonment. Kenneth McDuff was one of those inmates. 4 years he remained behind bars, but in 1989, overcrowding in Texas prisons led to a shocking decision. McDuff was paroled. Within just 3 days of his release, McDuff proved that his evil impulses had not diminished. He resumed his violent ways, targeting vulnerable women who crossed his path. He would lure them into his car, often under the guise of needing help or offering them assistance, only to subject them to unspeakable horrors. Between 1989 and 1992, McDuff's list of victims grew. Among them was 18-year-old Colleen Reed, who was abducted from a car wash in Austin, Texas, in December 1991. Witnesses reported seeing a man force her into his car, but by the time police arrived, she was gone. Her body was later discovered, showing signs of severe torture. Another victim, Melissa Northrup, was a pregnant woman working at a convenience store. McDuff kidnapped her in 1992, leaving behind a trail of evidence that would later help authorities finally link him to the crime. McDuff's ability to evade capture baffled law enforcement. Each new murder seemed to be more brazen than the last, as if he believed he was untouchable. And for a time he was. It wasn't until March 1992, after a nationwide manhunt, that Kenneth McDuff was finally apprehended. A tip from an informant led police to his hideout, where he was arrested without incident. During his trial, McDuff showed no remorse for his actions. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and in 1993 he was sentenced to death once again. This time there would be no commutation or parole. On November 17, 1998, Kenneth McDuff was executed by lethal injection, bringing an end to one of the most chilling chapters in Texas criminal history. Kenneth McDuff's story is one of unimaginable brutality and heartbreaking injustice. The lives he took can never be replaced, and the pain he caused will never be forgotten. His ability to manipulate the system and walk free serves as a sobering reminder of the flaws in our justice system. But this story is not just about a killer, it's about the victims whose lives were stolen in moments of pure evil. It's about the families who fought tirelessly for justice, even when it seemed out of reach. And it's about the resilience of a community that refused to let his crimes be forgotten. As we remember the victims, Robert, Edna, Mark, Colleen, Melissa, and so many others, let us also remember the importance of fighting for a justice system that truly protects the innocent. Because monsters like Kenneth McDuff should never walk free.